guys, I'll be teaching you how to make that animation in the beginning of the video. So first, delete the default cube and delete all the lights and the cameras. Shift A, go into planes, images, image as planes. If you don't find this, all you have to do is just enable the add-on. So once you've chosen your image you want, the grass image, which I'll be putting in the description, it'll look something like this. So now go into render view up here. And now we've got our grass. So go into the particles settings, choose a new particle group, make it hair, number 30,000, and hair length to something around 0.05. There we go. So now click advanced over here, go into physics, make the brownian something around 0.02. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to children, change the mode to interpolated, and yep, we've got our grass. Okay, so now let's add the rocks. So to do that, press Shift A, get a cube, scale it down to a really tiny size, and just move it on the y-axis outside, scale it down even more. You can add two modifiers. First, a subdivision surface over here, make the levels viewport 5, render 5, and that's it. So now we need to add a displace modifier over here, click new, change the strength to 0.8, and yep. So now if you go into the texture properties, make the type into Voronoi, and there you go. So change the size obviously to something around 1.2 or 3, and we've gotten our rock texture. So what you want to do, go into the spanner button over here, which is the modifier properties, and make it, and choose the edit mode button over here. And so if you now press tab, go into edit mode, choose face properties, you can start moving the faces around to make the rock look different. And yeah, so now tab out of it, and now we'll do the texture. So go into the shading over there at the top, press new, and we're going to add an image texture. So while holding down Principled BSDF, Control Shift T, and open up the textures that I'll put a link below in the description. So I'm just going to do that really quickly. So you need a roughness, normal, displacement, color, and ambient occlusion. And we've got our rock texture. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is move it onto our plane. So just move it on the y-axis. Just make sure they're leveled up by moving it on the z-axis. So GZ, like that. Now start duplicating them and moving them on the plane. So if you want, go into edit mode, rotate them, and move them around. So yeah, so they look different, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just gonna keep them the same. Okay, so now for the trees, you need to have an add-on enabled called Sample Trees. So once you've had that enabled, Shift A, go into Curves, Sample Tree Gen, and it'll create that. Go into the tab below here, go into change the scale to something around 1, or even something a little lower, something around 0.5. There we go, we've got our tree. Go into settings, geometry, leaves, and show leaves. There we go. So now what you're going to want to do is change the leaf scale to something like 0.13. Okay, so now click on the leaves, click on the trees, scale it down, click on the plane, scale it up, and there we go. So now we're gonna choose the image texture for the trees. Go into shading, just like the rocks, we're gonna add an image texture. So I'll put that in the link below. So click on the Principled BSDF, go Shift T. We're gonna open up the textures for the woodwork, which will be holding down Shift. Need the roughness, normal height, albedo, and that's it. So Principled texture shade up. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do is change the X scale to something around 2.5. So over here in the mapping, change the scale to 2.5 to make it look natural. Okay, so now for the leaves, add new, and just change the color to something that looks nice. So like maybe a kind of orangish color, and that's it. So holding down Shift, click the bark, and now we're going to duplicate these trees and move them around. So once you've gotten a few trees, change the leaves colors to something different. So click on the leaves and duplicate the material and change it to something like green. Change the base color to yellow, I don't know. Duplicate it again, red. Okay, so mine, it's gonna look really weird because I haven't duplicated that much trees, but if you want to get a good result, just duplicate as many trees as you can and rocks. Okay, so now for the lighting, I use the texture and an environment texture. That will be in the link as well. So go to object over here, click world, and Shift A to add an environment texture. Once you've gotten the environment texture, put color into color, open up the HDRI, which I will put in the link below. Click, and we should get the HDRI lighting. So open up the rendered viewport and we'll have the lighting. So now we're going to add manual lights as well. Shift A, go into the light settings over here and add an area light. Move it on the y-axis, move it on the z-axis, rotate it on the x-axis until it's pointing at the ground. And we're going to change the light to something around 700. Maybe 700 is too dark, or just make it to like 300, and maybe just duplicate a tree in front of it. So Shift D, Shift C, and yep. So we get that lighting, and there we go. So we could also change the HDRI's value. So go onto the world properties over here, make it something around 2.2. And there we go. We've gotten our simple forest thingy. So you could make this make the render engine something in cycles, but yeah, it really depends on what you prefer. The difference is cycles, it'll give you a more realistic output, while it still takes way longer than Eevee to render out the animation. So I went with Eevee for my animation, but you guys can go with cycles if you have a really powerful computer. So now we're gonna go into layout. We're gonna add a camera. So go into good view. So I'm gonna choose something that look around here. I'm gonna press Shift A, add a camera. So now we're gonna press Control Alt 0, and it'll come into the view. So we can move this on the z-axis, just make sure it looks good, and there we go. So while you're on frame 1, go into the object properties, go into location, hovering over location, press I. And now go into frame 70, move your camera on the x-axis, so it's forward, so it goes to the end, maybe even on the y-axis just to make sure it looks nice. Even on the z-axis, so just keep editing it until it is in a good position, and then while hovering over location, press I. And there we go, we've got our animation of the camera. So if we were to play it, it'll look something like this. And yep, that's all we need to know for now. So then you can just simply render it out. So go into the render properties. You don't really need to change anything here unless if you want to have Eevee turned on. And make the file format FFmpeg. FFmpeg. Make the encoding into something around something like MPEG-4, and output quality to perceptually lossless. This really is your choice, but I chose perceptually lossless. Okay, so now if you want to have a still image, just find a good position, right? So just find a good position with maybe like a tree hanging over the camera. Control Alt 0 and there. So since it's still image, we can add stuff to make it look good, such as let's say go into output, such as where did it go? Such as depth of field. So right now it's gonna look really blurry because we haven't set any object for Blender to focus on. So we're gonna go down here, choose an object, and probably the nearest tree to you. Once we've clicked that, change the f-stop and make it a little higher and adjust it. And there we go. So render it out and you'll have your own animation. And if it still looks a little blurry in the background, just keep raising the f-stop until it looks nice. Yep, render your animation and there you go. Thank you.